How to clean your Gazco Riva2 800 or Riva2 1050 fire. This video will show you the recommended method for cleaning your Gazco Riva2 800 or Riva2 1050 fire. It should be watched and used in conjunction with the full installation and user manual, which you can download from the technical area of the Gazco website. Ensure that your fire and its surround are cold before commencing any cleaning. Firstly, remove the side trims that frame the glass panel in your fire. These are secured in place by magnets and may therefore be gently pulled away and manoeuvred outwards. Set them aside on a soft, dry surface.
The slotted trim at the bottom in front of the glass panel may now be lifted out and also set aside. Attached to this trim should be the data badge, which gives you the details of your fire. You will now be able to see the screws that secure the glass panel of your fire in place. The Riva2 1050 fire has 9 screws. 3 are located at the bottom, and there are 3 screws to either side of the glass.
The Riva2 800 fire has 10 screws. 2 are located at the bottom, and there are 4 screws to either side of the glass. Undo these screws and set them aside. It is important that you do not operate your fire while the screws are removed. You are now ready to remove the glass panel from your fire, but before you do this, place a large clean towel onto a flat surface nearby onto which you can rest the glass. The glass panel in your fire can be removed using a series of lift and tilt maneuvers, as described in the installation and user manual. Begin by using the handle to lift the panel and move it outwards over the lower edge of the fire. Take care not to allow the glass panel to come into contact with any part of the fire, as this will damage the paintwork on your appliance. Next, lower the glass panel and take hold of either side of it, securely gripping the lower part of its frame. Maintaining its current angle, lift the panel up approximately 25mm and tilt the top of it towards you slightly. This will free the glass panel from a hook which is hidden at the top of the fire and enable you to pull the panel clear. Place the glass panel onto the towel and inspect it carefully. It is important that no damage is visible. If any damage such as scoring, cracks, chips or a break is visible, it is essential that the glass panel is replaced. Please refrain from using your fire while you consult with your local retailer for further advice. A replacement glass panel may be ordered from your retailer or Gazco's dedicated spares website. Gazco recommends cleaning both sides of the glass of your fire with soapy warm water, using a soft cloth to remove any dirt that may have accumulated on either side. You may wish to wear gloves while you do this. Ensure that any soap residue is wiped away with clear warm water and that the glass is dried thoroughly with a soft, clean cloth. Next, use a soft, damp cloth to wipe down the painted surface of the frame on the external side of the glass panel and dry it with a soft, clean cloth. You can now turn your attention to the firebox of your appliance. Carefully remove the ember wool from the fuel bed of your fire and set this gently to one side. If you are wearing gloves, you may find it easier to take them off to make it easier to handle the wool. Now remove each log from your fire and set these gently aside.
Take out all the black embers and then scoop out the loose vermiculite from the burner trays. Place these parts separately to one side. You will now be able to see that some pieces of vermiculite may have become caught in the burner ports of your fire as shown. Using a HEPA-filtered vacuum cleaner with a soft brush attachment, carefully clean the burner trays of your fire as well as the burner ports, ensuring that you remove any debris that may cause a blockage. It is very important that you remove any debris that is visible and that all burner ports are clear. You should also ensure that the pilot and the area immediately around it is clear as well, and check that the orientation of the pilot unit is correct. The unit should face the back of your appliance. If the pilot is facing towards you, or there is any damage to it or any other part of the inside of your fire, do not use the appliance until it has been inspected and the pilot replaced by a suitably qualified engineer. When this is complete, you are ready to replace all the components of your fire. To begin, refill the burner trays with vermiculite. It is important that you only use vermiculite that is purchased either from your local Gazco retailer or via Gazco's dedicated spares website. We recommend that you use a fresh bag of vermiculite, however it is possible to reuse the vermiculite that you removed earlier. Take care to ensure that the pilot area of your fire, as shown here, is kept clear and to distribute the vermiculite evenly.
Now replace the logs in your fire using the letter reference system and following the instruction given in the installation and user manual. It is very important to ensure that the logs are replaced to their original position, as each has been individually shaped to create the best possible flame picture. Firstly, place log A on its designated pin that is located in front of the pilot area of your fire. Log B must be placed as shown. Its top section is located over a pin to the top left of the upper burner tray. There is a slight variation in the placement of log B between the Riva2 800 and the Riva2 1050. As shown, there is a gap of 25 to 30 millimeters between the front left-hand corner of the burner tray and the log in the Riva2 1050. This gap is not required in the Riva2 800. Please refer to your installation and user manual for clarity. Before you place log C, take note of its designated pin, which is located to the top right of the lower burner tray and the black air guide that is between the two burners. Lower log C as shown so that it is in contact with both the pin and the guide. Log D rests on a pin in the lower burner tray via a hole located in its short branch. The left part of log D should be placed over the groove in log B. Before replacing log E, locate the raised tag at the back of the upper burner as shown here. The rear of log E is placed against the right-hand side of the raised tag and then extends to rest on top of log D. To secure this placement, ensure that the small hollowed recess in the underside of log E is placed on top of the raised area of log D as indicated. Log F may now be put on top of log B and secured in place with the raised part of log B slotting into the groove underneath log F. The right end of log F should be resting against the tag at the rear of the upper burner. Log G may now be placed over the two pins that remain visible in the upper burner tray. Its charred effect should face you. The final log, lettered H, can now be put back into place. It should be in contact with three other logs as follows. The short branch of log H rests on top of the left-hand side of log G. Log H's main body rests on top of log E. Finally, the charred area of log H should be between log A and C and on top of the raised tag as shown. To complete the look of your fire's fuel bed, put the blank embers back into the following areas of the lower burner tray. Place around a third of the embers underneath logs C and D, another third between logs D and A, and finally the remainder between logs A and C.
Finally, replace the ember wool to complete your fire's fuel bed in the positions as shown here. It is important that the ember wool is teased apart and that only a thin layer is placed in the area shown. We would recommend using fresh ember wool, which you can purchase from your Gazco retailer or our dedicated spares parts website. If you are using a new bag of ember wool, only one half will be required. The remaining half can be stored in the bag for future use. Now you have replaced the fuel effects of your fire, it is recommended that you wash your hands.
You are now ready to replace the glass as described in the installation and user manual. To begin, take hold of either side of the lower half of the glass panel and place it in front of your fire's opening. Angle the top of the panel away from you and lift it into the upper section of the fire by approximately 25mm. Lower the panel slightly to check that you have hooked the top of it back into place. You will now be able to hold the handle at the bottom of the glass panel and use this to maneuver the lower part of the panel over the lip of your fire. When this is done, lower the whole panel down into its allocated slot.
Replace all the screws, taking care to ensure they are affixed firmly. Replace the bottom screws first before working your way up the left and then the right-hand side of the frame of your fire's glass panel. It is important to the proper functioning of your fire that all screws have been returned and secured to the fire. To clarify, the Riva2 1050 has 9 screws and the Riva2 800 has 10 screws. If any of the screws are missing, please do not use your appliance and contact your local retailer for advice.
It is now possible to return the slotted trim to its place at the base of your fire, just in front of the glass, followed by the 2 magnetic side trims.
Once all the components of your fire have been replaced, you should now check that your fire's ignition process is working correctly. To do this, give your fire the command to begin the ignition sequence using either the remote control or the touchpad of the appliance. This can be achieved on your remote control by pressing the off and up buttons simultaneously, or on the control panel by pressing the on-off button. You should now hear several clicks and beeps as the fire begins the ignition process. The pilot burner should light within 5 to 10 seconds of this sequence starting. Once the pilot of your fire is lit, it should now be possible to hear the valve motor of your fire turning. Please now take note of the amount of time it takes for your fire's main burner to ignite. You will hear the valve motor of your fire stop. Your fire should ignite within 5 seconds. The fuel bed should ignite directly into the high flame position with an even spread of flames across the whole fire bed. If this sequence is not successful, or the fire extinguishes at any point in the ignition sequence or whilst burning, turn the appliance off by pressing the off button on the remote control or the on-off button on the touchpad. Wait for 3 minutes before attempting to light your fire again. If the problem with your fire's ignition persists and it isn't possible to light your fire after 3 attempts, it is essential that you do not attempt to relight the appliance again and to contact your local Gazco retailer for further advice. If your fire lights correctly, return the appliance to the standby position by holding the down button to decrease the flame until only the pilot remains. Next, with the fire in pilot-only mode, check the length and thickness of the pilot flame. The pilot is located behind the front log of the fire bed and is easily visible when inspecting the appliance closely through the glass door. A normal pilot flame will be tall and thin with a blue flame and the occasionally yellow tip. A reduced pilot flame will be short and fat. If you find this, switch your fire off by pressing the off button on the remote control or the on-off button on the touchpad. Do not attempt to relight your fire and contact your local Gazco retailer for advice. If after completing these checks your appliance functions and performs correctly with a normal pilot flame, you may now enjoy the full functions of your newly cleaned Gazco Riva2.